Hey, Bill Vasey here. Thanks for your interest in this webinar where AutoCAD Plant 3D data is going to be viewed through SOCKETWorx, a web application. All right, we're going to start out in the AutoCAD Plant 3D environment, and we've got some interconnecting piping that's being routed on this project. I'm going to pick on an elbow to start a selection set. I'm going to go ahead and right-click and add to this selection set all the connected parts based upon line number. Once those are selected, I'm going to go ahead and right click again and get to the part hide or isolation. Here I'm going to go ahead and hide all the other parts or just isolate the line in this case. I've done all this just so we could zoom in and get acclimated to this line segment. I'm going to prey on this data set once we get into the web browser. I'm going to look for the 10-inch lines, the 6-inch lines, but I'm also going to search for line number 2508. So 2508 is going to become our friend when we get into the SOCKETWorx side and start browsing for data. I'm going to go ahead and restore all of that by right-clicking and ending my isolation. And with that, I think we're all set to transition over to SOCKETWorx and see how we can get at all of this good plant data through a web browser. All right, here we are in SOCKETWorx, and the first page we are looking at are the widgets. The widgets basically provide an overview of the connection I'm connected to. Let me draw your attention to the very top of the screen to our navigation. This is our connection navigation. I'm going to bounce to a CADWorx project, and here's the CADWorx data for a CADWorx project. I'll bounce down to an EC diagrams project. Here's a diagrams project. But our focus is on Plant 3D. So here we go back to the Plant 3D project and all that it has to offer. Hey, and offer it does. SOCKETWorx has multiple tables available out of the box for Plant 3D, everything from 3D models to welds. Let's take a look at the 3D models to get started. Once we come into the data views, we call them, we're going to see a grid filled with data. This is the raw data from the 3D model itself. We can use the column header controls to go filter. In this case, I'm just going to filter for all work order values that have been populated. Now I have a list of 33 items that have work orders on them. I can browse to other views. I've got a can view that just looks at fasteners. I've got a view that has all my items in it, but I'm going to go ahead and take and modify this view because I just want to look at pipe. So I can edit any view, and the edit pop-up has a filter component to it. And in this case, I've already got a where clause started. I'm going to expand that where clause to include one more criterion. And here I'm going to go find my long description, and I'm going to filter by pipe. I want to return a data view that just lists all of my pipe. So by satisfying this and changing my view name to the applicable criteria, I now have a view set that's going to return every single pipe in my project. So that was all the 3D objects. Let's go back to our table navigation and go down the list. I'm going to start next with looking at the 3D model against P&ID. Why would I want to do this? Well, we've got some out-of-the-box views that will compare the 3D model with the P&ID, and we're looking for missing values. Let me draw your attention to the lower right-hand corner. In this project, we already have 18 items that don't match between the P&ID and the 3D model. We can do the same thing on the pipe routes. Here I have 34 items that don't match. So the design team has a little work to do, but this is the value of having views. On to fasteners. Here's a list of all the fasteners, fastener by fastener. Here's a list of all the fittings. So a unique list of all the fittings. Here's my first time I want to prey on that 2508. If I type in 2508 in the global filter, it's going to return all 71 piping component items that are part of that fitting list for that line. Let me move over to all tagged items, another view that just simply displays all of the 3D models that have a tag value on them. And lastly, we're going to look at all the welds. This is every single weld. And again, let me go ahead and pray on 2508, but I want to draw your attention to things like the linear length of weld. One of the things that we can do is calculate the linear length of weld and display that. Also, notice that we have 100 welds on line 2508. I'm going to come back to that when we get to another view. The MTO views, now we're rolling up or collecting or accumulating all the parts. Here we have all the bolt sets. By bolt set or by number of bolts, however you want it. Here's all the fittings. These are all of the fittings rolled up, total quantity of each and every fitting in the project. If we want to roll things up by line number, a very popular query. And again, I'm going to go after that 2508. Let's see all the parts that are part of 2508 relative to fittings. Here they are, all 24 of them. Moving down the list, we go from fittings to pipe. There's all the pipe across the entire project, rolled up into linear feet. Again, if we want to look at all the pipe by line number, I can go ahead and put in that 2508 again, and this is going to give me a distinct list of the 3 sizes of pipe that were in that assembly we looked at the beginning. And then on to welds. Here are all the welds on the entire project. Again, with things like linear length rolled up for estimating purposes. And lastly, we'll look at all the welds by line number. And here again, I'll draw your attention to that quantity where we had 100 individual welds in a previous view. After this returns, and we look at 2508 again, and just eyeball the quantity. With some simple math, we can add that up. 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's all 100 welds, just rolled up by size and by wall thickness. Well, hey, thank you for browsing all those data views. I'm going to bounce back to the dashboard here. This is where we started. Seems like a good place to end. I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to thank you for watching this video and hope that you found enough interest in SOCKETWorx, a web application that integrates very effectively with Plant 3D, and hope that you'll contact us for more information. Take care.